Good morning, it's Bev Hetting here, the Message Maestro. And it's time for me to say a big thank you to you all first for listening to my ramblings, to actually taking the time to open my videos. So big thank you to you. The other thing is, I don't know about you, but the last 18 months have been really difficult. In fact, if you've listened to all my ramblings, you'll know they've been difficult. And I had a bit of an epiphany the other day and realized that what was happening was that as I was pivoting, we all did, I was trying to put bells and whistles and all sorts of things in the business in my major panic to stay afloat during COVID. And actually what I need to do is go back to basics and do the stuff I'm really good at. And I did an exercise in this. I've mentioned this before the last week or so, of realigning exactly what I do, who for and why, and all of that. And if you haven't watched that video and you want to, just make a note on here or answer me by video and I'll give you the link. It's a bit rough and ready, but I actually videoed the whole process I went through. It takes 15 minutes, that's all. But what I really do well is I understand what it is you actually do. I show you how to pull your message out, how to be clear and confident about your message, know who you're talking to, know what you want them to do, and grow your business through speaking and other creative ways. So I've gone back to those basics, and in that, I've also decided to embrace a fear I have had since I began my business. Now, there have been a couple of videos of me talking about spirituality and messages from the universe and stuff like that. And I've always been a bit afraid to really open up about my spiritual background. I have been spiritually awakened. Whoa, what a woo-woo phrase that was. I've been involved in spiritualism, if you like, since I was sort of 11, 12 years old. And over the years, I've learnt more, I've evolved, my relationship with spirit has evolved, my relationship with the universe, and my understanding of how all of this works. And the fascinating thing that I've come across in the last few months is neotic sciences and neurosciences, and an understanding that a lot goes on with us human beings that we don't have an answer to. We can't prove empirically with numbers and data how it works. It just does. And I'm going to put aside my fear and actually bring that back into my business in terms of bridging that gap between science and spirituality, or spirituality and science, whichever way round it goes, because the two do sit side by side. If we go way back in time, people would have said motor cars were impossible, it was magic, and could not imagine it. Just because it hasn't been proved empirically or with the right data doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And I want to work absolutely within my business of knowing that collectively, when we're all heading towards the same goal, that power increases and the connection increases, that connectivity, if you like, that collective power really fascinates me. And I want other businesses to understand that by bringing their teams or their business or the communities together with that collective goal, with everybody understanding what the message is, what people are trying to do, the story, if you like, brings it to life in everybody's neurons within the brain, who then collectively, by some magic means, exponentially increases that power. And this, for me, is a fascinating conversation, and I'm working on it. And I'm aligning now all my business messages with that thought in mind and creating a new signature speech around the bridge between science and spirituality. It's around the impulse decisions we make, the inspirational decisions we make, the instinctive decisions we make. And what makes me so good at what I do when I'm pulling your message, your key message out of you, the thing that you do, what you do that helps other people, not job descriptions or job titles, that real nugget, that gold nugget that you have for other people. And I couldn't tell you how I do it. I can't write it down as a process, because at some point within the process, there is a loose process around it. There are questions I ask. There is a manner to which I work through, but often the answers come to me instinctively. And often I will give that to someone and they'll say, "Oh, that was brilliant. I've got to write it down. What did you say?" I can't remember what I said exactly. It comes from somewhere outside of me and I just give it over. Now, I personally believe that's because collectively myself and my client are working to find that nugget, and our neurons that have been ignored for centuries, that instinctive neuron opens up, and I can hear the collective thoughts going on that aren't actually said. Yeah, I know, sounds weird, but it isn't weird. And I think a lot of people work like that. They just don't recognize it or realize that. So my business is going to go very much that way. And I'm going to move on with going back to basics and looking at people's messaging, looking at what you want to say, who you want to say it to, and what do you want people to do once they've heard you. And I'm going to completely work on that, because once you know all that, the public speaking bit, the effective speaking bit, that all becomes a lot easier, because you're not terrified you're going to forget anything. So how can you forget what you know? It's about knowing what you want to say, not scrabbling around for words and thoughts. And it, trust me, it really does work. So I'm going to go back and do that this week. I'm going to go back and align my messages, align my website, look at the package I'm going to put out, take away the bells and whistles, which really were just distractions. They weren't enhancing my business in any way whatsoever, because I always ended up going back and doing what I do best. So I work in an intuitive way. There, I've said it out loud. I work in an intuitive way. The answers come to me from somewhere, and within my knowledge and within my experience and within my education, all of that mixed up, but there is an intuitive element added into that. And I love working with people who trust that intuition and then take that nugget and grow it into a great business or a great way of life, or just within their own confidence. So that's me for today. If you want to continue this conversation, I would love to continue this conversation. Why don't you answer me by video? Because we're becoming much more video minded and brave, and just instinctively know that you can do it, that you have all the answers, and you can just pop a reply to me or a question or anything else you want to do. All right. So I'll see you all next week, and please have a great week, and thank you for listening. And if you want any more help, go to all the W's, weareoscar.co.uk. So many free resources there for you to use and take away and just become great at what you do. Bye.